And we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you get started on your fitness journey. What is up, everybody? Hope y'all are having a great day today. Hope you're getting the week started off right. Thank y'all for tuning in for the podcast. We got a good little topic for y'all today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into the topic of today, which is going to be strength training versus endurance training, and which one is right for you. Which one should you do? The reason I want to do these two categories is because, well, one, it's what I'm doing right now currently. And then two, it's very big and popular on social media nowadays to do both of these. So you will hear it referred to as hybrid training or hybrid athlete training. Hybrid athlete. It's a pretty big trend going on now on social media. A lot of people are doing it, and I think it's great. I'm actually doing it myself personally. So I want to talk about it. What's the differences between these two styles of training? Why people are kind of pairing these trainings together? What's the benefits of it? What's kind of the negatives of it? Can you do both at the same time? Like things like that. There's a reason why people are doing it, why it's so popular. One reason why it's so popular is because a lot of social media influencers are doing it. So the main guy that I think of when I think of hybrid athlete training is Nick Bare. So you've probably heard of him before. He's super big on YouTube. He owns his own supplement company. He's huge. If you hadn't seen him, you've probably seen his supplement somewhere before. It's BPN Supplements is what he owns, and he's a very big advocate for the hybrid athlete style training. He's a very good runner, and he's also a very good weightlifter. Like, the dude's absolutely jacked, and he can run like 6-minute miles for a marathon. He's ran like a I don't know. He does the YouTube series all the time of his marathons. He does like a 2:30 marathon, which is freaking booking it. That's getting it. That's running like 5-minute miles the whole marathon. So yeah, the dude's just a freak athlete. He's probably like 1 in a million. Honestly, like he's top tier, but he's made this term kind of big, and a lot of people are doing it now. You see it everywhere, and I enjoy it myself. So first, I just want to get into what is strength training and what is endurance training, like with some of the specifics and what they actually are. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory of what they are, but strength training is going to focus on building muscle and increasing your force production. So like increasing your strength, like how much weight you can actually move. There's a difference between like hypertrophy training, which is kind of like, think of bodybuild style training, and strength training. There's a big difference. Now, don't get me wrong, hypertrophy style training will get you stronger. Like training like a bodybuilder, you will get stronger. But training like a bodybuilder is a little bit different than training for like strength. Strength training is a lot different. It's a different style. Like, you can be a lot smaller and be very, very strong, or you can be really, really big and be not as strong. So like, if you think of like a bodybuilder and a powerlifter. A bodybuilder is going to be huge. He's going to be massive. He's going to be way bigger than a powerlifter. But the powerlifter is going to outlift a bodybuilder any day. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of bodybuilders are very strong. They are. I give them that. But a powerlifter is going to outlift a bodybuilder any day. Like, they're way stronger. And that's because they train specifically for strength. They're not training for aesthetics. There's a difference between training for strength and training for aesthetics. Bodybuilders want big muscles, big, round, full muscles. Powerlifters don't care. They don't care what their body looks like. And honestly, most powerlifters are overweight. They're big, overweight, heavy dudes, just massive dudes. They probably weigh more than the bodybuilders do. They're just big old dudes, but they're strong as all get out. Like, they can move way more weight. And this is not the case for everybody, but for most, in general, powerlifters are going to be stronger than bodybuilders. That's just kind of how it is. And that's because of the style of training that they do. Because powerlifters are training specifically for strength, and bodybuilders are training for aesthetics. So there's a difference there. Some examples of strength training is obviously lifting weights, body weight exercises, resistance bands. So that's kind of like generic strength training. Then when you go to powerlifting, that's kind of taking it a step further. Powerlifting is, think of, when you do a powerlifting competition, you do bench press, squat, and deadlift. That's the 3 lifts they do in a powerlifting meet. So that's taking like strength training to a whole nother level. That's like going a step up. But for like normal everyday people, when you think of strength training, when you think of like lifting weights, body weight exercises, resistance bands, things like that, it's working out in the gym. It's just kind of the style of training that you do. So the goal with strength training is to get stronger, obviously, increase your muscle mass, improve your power. but it's not necessarily to get bigger, like bigger muscles. It's to get stronger. I know there is a correlation between like size of muscles and the strength of those muscles, but it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. And why do I say that? Is because like the example I just used a minute ago, bodybuilders, muscular wise, are going to be way bigger than powerlifters, but they're not as strong as powerlifters. Like powerlifters are stronger, but their muscles are not as big. So there's a difference. Like size of muscles and strength of muscles, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, I don't know what that ratio is. There is a correlation there. Like if you have bigger muscles, yeah, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be strong, but you're not necessarily going to be like the strongest that you can be. I know it's kind of confusing. It's hard to understand, but just because somebody has bigger muscles than somebody else, that does not mean they are stronger than that other person, if that makes sense. So like if you took a bodybuilder and you took a powerlifter and you put them side by side and you looked at them and you said, hey, which one of these people do you think is stronger that can lift the most weight? You're going to look at the bodybuilder and say him, definitely, because he's got way more muscle. He's way bigger, leaner. He looks stronger. But that's not necessarily the case. The powerlifter could probably outlift him 90% of the time. So now when you get up to like Mr. Olympia stage, yeah, those dudes are strong, like super strong, but they're also on a lot of gear. They're taking a lot of steroids. And I'm not saying powerlifters ain't. Powerlifters, I'm sure, take steroids too, but there's a difference. So when it comes to endurance training, the focus on endurance training is improving your stamina and sustaining a pretty steady effort over a long period of time. So think of like your marathon, think of ultra marathons, cyclers, like cycling, what's it called? The Tour de France, like that's endurance, or swimmers that do long swimming, that's endurance. So any kind of long endurance, like circuit training style, running, cycling, swimming, that's the three I think of because that's triathlon, swim, bike, run. That's the main three that you'll think of. But there's lots of other ones as well. The main one is running. Most people think of running when they could think of endurance. So the goal is to enhance your cardiovascular health, your aerobic capacity, and your endurance. You'll be able to last longer. So that's why a lot of people are practicing both, because you get both sides of the health. Because like you get health benefits from working out and building strength and getting stronger, because muscle provides a lot of health benefits on your body. But also having very good cardiovascular health also provides health benefits. So, but they're on the different spectrums, they're on different sides of things. So that's why I like this style of training, because you get both. You get the best of both worlds. You get the benefit from strength training and you get the benefit from the endurance. So it's kind of a win-win situation. Now, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. There is some downsides and negatives to it, and we're going to get into that. But I think the positives outweigh the negatives in the long run. So can you do both? Can you do both of these? Yes, you can do both. You can endurance train and you can strength train simultaneously. Many people balance both. I'm doing it right now. I'm lifting weights 3 days a week, and I'm running like 6 days a week. Some five to 6 days a week right now I'm running. So you can do both. However, one, you don't want to overdo it. You can overdo it. I've been training for a very long time, so I've built up to this. I would not suggest doing this starting off. I would not suggest doing both of these. Or if you're going to do both, I would dial it way back. Don't do near that much. I've been doing this for a while. I've built myself up to it, so I'm able to. If you want to do both, I would say at most strength train 3 days a week, and at most cardio 2 days a week. And then you can build up from there. Or it depends on how much. Like if you're just walking, then yeah, you can do a little more. But that's for you to judge and where you're at in your fitness journey. But when it comes to doing both of these at the same time, you're going to be stuck kind of like right in the middle on both ends of the spectrum. So you can't be you can't be great at both of these. You're not going to excel in either one of them. You're going to be stuck right there in the middle. Like you're going to fall right in the middle, unless you're just a freak athlete like the Nick Bear guy I was talking about. Like you're going to fall right in the middle somewhere. And that's because you're not putting all your focus into one thing. And that's okay. Like if you're okay with that, then that's cool. Like I'm okay with that. I'm cool with being an average weightlifter and an average runner. That's cool. But I get to do both. I can experience both, and I get the benefits from both. And I get to, change up my training and keep it fun and keep it interesting. And that's cool with me. I'm okay. I'm not trying to go out there and win the Boston Marathon, and I'm not trying to go out there and win the Mr. Olympia bodybuilding show. Like that's not my goals. So it's okay for me to do both. But if you do want to excel in one of these areas, then it's probably not going to be in your best interest to do both. Because, yeah, they both have benefits, but they both have downsides. Like if you're strength training too much, if you get too big, like you're not going to be able to run very fast if you want to be a runner. Like you're going to be too big to run. You don't need to be that big. I mean, look at any marathon runner that competes. that's at the top of their marathon career. Like they're not big. They don't have very much muscle at all. They're very skinny, very lanky, but they could run for days. There's a reason that's that way. And then vice versa. If you want to be if you want to be a power lifter, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you got to have muscle. You got to put on size, and running, endurance training is going to eat away at your muscle. It's going to make you want to be smaller. You're going to be burning so many calories. It's going to be hard to keep up, and you're going to lose a lot of muscle, period, if you're running that much. So you can't really do both. You can't be great at both. Like if you're really big into weightlifting, you're probably not going to be competing at a marathon, and vice versa. If you're competing in a marathon, you're not also going to be competing in bodybuilding or powerlifting meet, because it don't work for the style of like training that you're doing. Yeah, you can have a good mix of both, but you're not going to be great at either one of them. So you just kind of have to figure out like what your goal is. Like if you're trying to really attack endurance training, if you want to compete at it and be really great at it, well, then you're going to have to dial back your strength training a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you can't do it at all. I think you should do it. If you're a runner, you should be strength training because it's going to help with injuries and things like that. But you don't need to be trying to pack on a bunch of muscle. You're not trying to get big. You're trying to just use your weight training to benefit your running. Like do some running specific exercises to benefit your running, to build up like your power and things like that, so you can put out more effort. But you're not trying to pack on muscle. You're not trying to get muscle mass. You're not trying to get really that much stronger like in the gym. You're just trying to get stronger at running. So there's a difference. There's a difference in how you're training, and vice versa. If you're trying to get big in the gym, trying to put on some muscle, trying to get stronger, well, if you're out there running every day, it's going to be hard for you to do that. Like you're not going to build up a lot of muscle running every day unless you're just eating like crazy. But then at that point, your body's not going to be able to repair like it should be able to because you're just pushing too much. So you can do both, but unless you're just some freak anomaly out there, you're not going to be great at both. And for most people, that's okay. Like for most people, we're not trying to do those extremes. We're not trying to be a Mr. Olympia bodybuilder, and we're not trying to run and compete at the Boston Marathon. Like we're not trying to do those. So if you want to, if you're cool with that, follow in the middle, then that's great. Like that's what I'm doing. That's me. I want to run and I want to weightlift. So I've been doing both, and I like both so far. Right now, I'm doing a little bit more running than I am working out, and that's just because I'm training for my ultra marathon. But that's going to change after my marathon. I'm probably going to start weightlifting a little more than I am running. It just depends on the season that I'm in. It depends on what I'm training for. Depends on what I'm trying to do. And that's going to change. Like, depending on what my goal is, it's going to change. So I may try to say, for example, after my marathon, I want to get a little bit stronger, put on some mass, maybe put on a little bit more size. Well, I'm going to change up my training. I'm going to put more strength training into my schedule and take out some of the running. So right now, I'm training 3 days a week, but I'm running 6 days a week. Well, I'll probably swap around and train, say, 4 to 5 days a week and only run 2 days a week. Back it up a little bit so I can put on that size, put on that strength. Just whatever I want to focus on at that time. That's how I kind of manipulate my training. So why can't you excel at both of these? It's because they have different demands on the body. Strength training demands heavy loads, short, intensive efforts, and this builds muscle and it builds power. On the other hand, endurance training is lower intensity, but it's sustained efforts over a longer period of time, and this improves your cardiovascular efficiency. So there's kind of like an interference effect there. So endurance training, it can reduce muscle building responses to strength training. And then strength training can make endurance workouts feel more taxing because you're bigger, heavier, trying to move more weight. So it's going to be harder to do it. So your body has to split its resources. It's limiting your progress in both of these areas because you're splitting resources. So that's why I suggest if you want to do one or the other, I will put more resources into that one than the other. If you're trying to split them down the middle, well, you're not going to be able to excel at one or the other because your body's having to split those resources. And that's a lot of load you're putting on your body too, so your body's going to have trouble recovering. Recovery is going to be way more important when you're doing both of these at the same time. So with that being said, following the middle, it's not bad necessarily. Like it's not a bad thing. Balancing both of these leads to overall general physical fitness, physical preparedness, like overall good health. So you'll be strong enough for everyday tasks, and you'll have stamina for everyday tasks like hiking or running, 5K, whatever, and you can carry in the groceries all in one trip all at the same time. And that's cool. That's okay with being in the middle. It's not so bad. It's great for just overall fitness and overall health. I think you should do both if that's what you're going for. But at the same time, if you want to excel in one of these, you're going to have to prioritize that one that you want to excel in. So to be great at either strength or endurance, you need to specialize. Strength, you want to focus on heavy lifting, progressive overload, and recovery. If you want to excel in endurance, you want to focus on long duration training, aerobic capacity, and efficiency. So pretty self-explanatory there. Specialization is going to allow your body to fully adapt to one type of training, to really go in and excel at that one type of training that you're doing. So how can you balance both if you want to? I talked a little bit about my training, how I'm doing it, but you can use periodization. So dedicate blocks of time to focus on one goal. So for example, I said I'm focusing on my endurance training right now because I'm training for an ultra marathon. So use whatever your block, so I would say 8 to 12 weeks, 3-month period to focus on that one block. So say for example, you want to focus on strength training first. And then after that's over with, the next 8 to 12 weeks, then switch it. Focus on your endurance training more. So this allows progress in both areas without sacrificing too much in the other. Now, I wouldn't say whatever goal you're focusing on at the time, I wouldn't completely cut the other one out. Like if you're strength training and that's your goal, I wouldn't completely take endurance training out. I would still do it once, twice, maybe even 3 times a week, but your main focus would be on strength training. And then vice versa. If you wanted to run, I wouldn't take your strength training all the way out. I would run majority of the time and then add 2 to 3 workouts in there during the week. But you may want to take it easier. Like you may want to work out a little easier so you're not so sore and you can be ready for that run that you have the next day. So you can do both. You just got to figure out a balance for you, what works for your schedule and your body. So you don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo it, you're not going to be doing either one of them because you're going to be injured and you're going to be at home trying to recover. So in conclusion, strength and endurance training are two sides of the fitness space. So you can do both, but you won't be elite at either unless you specialize in one or the other. So fitness is about finding what works for you, finding what you like, what your goals are. So if you want overall fitness, try to balance both of these. If you want to excel in one of these, focus on one. But most importantly, just keep moving. Keep challenging yourself. Enjoy the process. Get better each and every day, 1%, and you will improve your health. You will get in better shape. You will improve your fitness. And that's the whole goal at the end of the day. You don't have to go to these extremes to get healthier. And you don't have to do both. You don't have to do both, because you will get a little endurance training from weight training. Because when you're weight training, you're going to be out of breath. So you will build up cardiovascular a little bit from strength training, and vice versa. If you're running, you will get a little bit stronger because your legs and stuff you're working out. Like while you're running, your legs will get stronger. So there's a little carryover in both. So you don't have to do both, but I think it's a good idea to mix in a little bit of both, just for general fitness, So yeah, that's all I got for today. That's my little spiel about hybrid athlete training, endurance training versus strength training. And I didn't get into all the different weeds of them. There's a lot of different styles of strength training. There's a lot of different styles of endurance training. I just kind of hit them from a macro level, from a big grand scheme of things. Yeah, try it out. If you hadn't yet, add in some running in your training routine, or vice versa. If you're a runner, try to add in some strength training in there, because they will benefit each other. They will benefit each other to a certain point, but then once you get way up the scale, then they kind of start to hurt each other. But if you're just a everyday person, doing general fitness, they will benefit each other. You will see progress and positive benefits from each. So I suggest try them out. Try a little hybrid style training out. See if you like it. And if you don't like it, hey, find something else that you do like. Something that you can stick to. That's the whole goal at the end of the day. We want to be moving our body, getting healthy, working on our fitness. So yeah, it's a win-win situation. That's all I got for y'all. Y'all make sure y'all tune in next week for another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening to that. We're at the Fitness Beginner Podcast on all platforms. So yeah, appreciate y'all so much. See y'all next week. Other than that, peace, love, protein. We out.